Yeah, so I thought really it'd just be good to get some insight on Johannes. I think everyone here in Norwich and in England is still trying to learn a little bit about him. You're obviously somebody that knows him well. I guess if we start here and then we can work our way back to maybe the past, but him at Norwich, I mean, how proud, is that the right word? Are you of him to see him sort of take his coaching journey to England?
Of course, everyone here is proud of it. Even though that I think it happened too early from our point of view, of course. But that's what we want. We want to not only to develop players, but also to develop employees. So that's who Right to Dream is.
And in terms of him and his sort of education, I mean, as we were speaking before, there's probably nobody in Right to Dream that knows him better than you. Just talk to us a little bit about how you know him and sort of your history with Johannes going back from maybe right to the start.
He came here. It was Alexander that you have been speaking to that hired him at the academy. So he started as under 14 coach, and at that time I was around the first team as an assistant coach, and later on technical director for FC Nordsjælland, where I worked with Johannes also on pitch, giving him feedback from training and these things, and then he just developed, but already at that time you could see that he was very clear in his communication, and there was a coming head coach, like what we say in or has potential as a head coach, and then we refined him, because everything we do here is collective. So we are working very collective, very systemic within our methodology, and this our setup refined him to be the head coach that he is and person that he is today.
Yeah, and it's interesting. Obviously, you were somebody who worked with him as an assistant, but also then it was sort of your job changed and your recommendation subsequently that pushed him into the head coach role. So I guess going back to that sort of journey to make him your assistant, what was it that you saw in Johannes at that time that you thought would make him really good to sort of assist you at that time as head coach?
Yeah, first of all, the way he coached on the pitch. So he's very strong on the pitch with his instructions, and he's clear about what he wants from the players. And so he's more, if you understand, he's much more a coach than a manager. So this clarity, and that's what players need. Players need clarity from the coach. Otherwise, they get lost in the game. And here, Johannes is very strong. There are clear demands. So that was worth exploring more. So that's why we moved him from under 17 head coach up to assistant coach. And that was in summer 2021. And in summer 2021, we decided internally that when the time was right, I would step up as group technical director. And so we moved up Johannes to see if we had the internal candidate, that if he could be developed further, or we wanted to hire an external a coach. And then after 6 months as an assistant coach, we could see that Johannes had the quality and the way he developed, also with more and more responsibility around the first team. we could see that he could be a potential head coach. And then 1 year later, he was, or less than 1 year later, he was offered the job, but we executed 1 year later. That means in January 2023.
And what was it about him probably going back to as an under-17s coach? Because it feels like what you've mapped out there was a real process from him to go to sort of in the academy to being first-team coach. What qualities was it that he had at that time that you thought would make a very good head coach at a senior level one day?
Yeah, but that's, again, his on-pitch coaching. He could structure a team. So if I have to be honest, then maybe not the perfect academy coach.
Mm-hmm.
Because in academy coaches, you also need to have even more focus on the individual player. But Johannes had more focus on the team and how the team was working, and to structure a team, and already at that time making good results by the way that how we wanted to win. Because we are not just focused on winning. That will never be enough for us. We have to win the way that we want to play. And he did this and was Danish under 17 champions. I can't remember if it was in 19 or maybe it was in 2018. So already at that time that we could see there was a potential internal head coach, and also that his management of players, that he was good speaking to the players, and they always knew you always knew where you have Johannes,
mm-hmm.
because he's straightforward and honest. He say things as things are, or as he sees them, and that's also very, very important for players. That you know the type of coaches or managers that say my door is always open, but it's not really open, because they do not listen. When Johannes says that my door is open, then the door is wide open.
And how rare are, and you've spoken about his qualities as a coach in terms of on the training pitch. You've also spoken a little bit about his human qualities there. To have a blend in someone so young, that feels quite rare. Is that, I guess, some of the stuff is that as a result of what you guys as an organisation, as Right to Dream, as Nordsjælland have worked with him on to develop, I guess, that sort of well-roundedness as a coach?
Yeah, definitely, because when you work in Right to Dream, then you get a lot of international experience, and you're getting in situations that are not that can be uncomfortable. So, for example, traveling in Africa, playing international games, a lot of traveling, and there's these situations that are not always structured. That you need to be ready to. Okay, now we need to change plans. So you need to have an open mindset, because there's many things that can go wrong, just like in football. Mm-hmm. And then you learn to how to deal with these things. So that's very, very important for our employees to visit other parts of the world, dealing with people from total different culture. So, and it's always good, and we know that's how you learn. When you get out of the comfort zone, you experience new things. And here Johannes, he's strong because he's very reflective as a person. Maybe he's not taking things on board at once. Maybe he needs to think a little more and reflect a little more, and not only say, yes, I agree, but then after a couple of days, then he's smart enough. Then he has digested the new things and is adapting this to his own.
In terms of his spell as head coach at Nordsjælland, I mean, just talk to us a little bit about his achievements and how well he did over there, because there'll be a lot of people over here who maybe aren't avid consumers of Danish football, and they aren't particularly familiar with maybe even Nordsjælland as a club. So can you just sort of put into context the job that he did as head coach in the spell that he had?
Yeah, first of all, he was. It was a little, I would say, difficult position. He was thrown out, even though he had 1.5 years as an assistant coach. Then when he started as head coach, then the club invested in some good players. So he was put a little more under pressure than normal, because we expected better results while still playing our own style of play. And of course, he needed to, and also because at that time we were number 1 in the Superliga in the middle of the season with 8 points clear of FC Copenhagen and 3 points clear of Viborg. So already there was more pressure than normal. And I think he handled it quite well. But you cannot expect, as a young coach, first time as a head coach, that you do it perfectly from day one. So I would say he coped with it well. The first 6 months ended up number 2 in Denmark and qualified together with the rest of the staff, the team for Europe, and it was during the summer. It was in the next season. It was huge to beat Steaua Bucharest and Partizan Beograd and make the way into Conference League group stage. Mm-hmm. So we couldn't expect that, and he performed well in this period. Looking at it international, I don't know if it motivated him more than the Superliga, but it meant he and the staff performed in that period. And I will also say overall they performed in Conference League, even though they we didn't promote, but with 10 points. And I think it's first time a team with 10 points is not going to the round of 16. And of course that was a big disappointment that we lost the last game in Bulgaria. In the Superliga, it was like so. It was not that good, but we are not used to play both in Europe mm-hmm. and in the Superliga. So again, it was okay, but the last 6 months, then the team really developed, and also Johannes developed even more with the team. That you can see getting more and more comfortable as a head coach. That was from outside, and also, of course, our last season I was still his mentor. And here it was obvious to see that he was even more relaxed and also could take better decisions. Especially during games. I think he has been very good at taking decisions before games, making the game plan, but that's just one part of it. When the game is on, then you also need to read the game and take decisions during the game. And here he has improved a lot the last 6 months.
And I guess all of those elements, and since he's come to England, there's been a lot of focus on the young players that Nordsjælland had, very low average age. I know that's obviously a policy that the club has, rather than perhaps Johannes specifically, but he's a product of the system, and also his style of play. It's interesting. Right at the start of this conversation, you said you felt it was maybe a little bit early for him to make that jump, but I guess given his age, the playing style, his record with young players, I mean, those were going to be three facets that made him really attractive for clubs elsewhere, weren't they? So were you expecting the interest to come, I guess, in him as a coach from other clubs?
Yes, but as I said before, not that early. Mm-hmm. Personally, and I can only speak for myself, personally I would have liked to keep him longer, also because he really performed, him and his staff really performed the last 6 months. And it would be exciting to see how he would develop here. But I also know it's difficult to say no. Here he has a chance to go into the championship, and Norwich is a good club. And also Ben Napper. I like Ben Napper. I met him in Arsenal in 2019, where I was over there and did a presentation for Arsenal of how we did it. So I also think that Johannes has a good impression of Ben Napper, and that he can get the time needed to develop the players and the team in Norwich right now. Because as we all know, as a head coach manager, you are dependent on your sports director and the board. How much time will they give you?
Yes, exactly. It's interesting you mentioned Ben Napper, because I know when he's spoken about Johannes, he's been full of praise for Right to Dream and what a brilliant organisation that is, and how it's probably been really beneficial to him to come through that. So I guess it probably shows the direction that he wants to take Norwich in, doesn't it? Maybe quite similar to what you guys have created in Denmark. And so that would make a lot of sense to hire somebody who is used to working in those sort of parameters, I guess, and with that sort of job specification that you've outlined.
Exactly. That's very clever. And then you still need to be aware of that you can not just move one person into another culture and then copy things, but you can definitely with Johannes, you have knowledge from if the intention is from Ben Napper and Norwich that to do something similar, or they have been inspired of the Right to Dream methodology, then it will always be good to hire a person that knows the methodology.
And it's interesting in terms of obviously his age, and as we've spoken about, not being a head coach for long, that he's brought Glenn Riddlesholm with him. I don't know how well you know Glenn, but the move to bring in an experienced assistant, that feels like it makes a lot of sense. Is that something again that you would agree was smart, given where Johannes is, to have a bit more of an older, more experienced head alongside him, who's obviously worked abroad as well? That helps with that initial sort of settling in period, doesn't it, at Norwich, I suppose?
Yeah. If the roles are clear, mm-hmm. So because it's always good if Glenn can play the role of giving advices or asking questions to Johannes and be a part of a team also guiding him and support, then it will be fantastic, because Glenn obviously has a lot of experience. And then the only thing there is you can question how much experience does Glenn have with this kind of style of play. Mm-hmm. Perhaps not that much, but in terms of management, leadership, and these kind of things, I think he he should add a lot of value to Johannes.
And just a couple more from me, but I mean, you've known Johannes for a long time. Was English football always the plan for him? Did he speak a lot about English football? I know from sort of brief conversation with him, he watches a lot of football in a lot of countries. So was there ever an ambition for him to say to you, look, one day I do want to go and work in England?
I can't remember he have told this directly to me, because he's inspired from Italy.
Yes, yeah.
So as you probably know, so I have heard that he wants to work in Italy, but maybe he goes from Norwich to Italy.
Yeah, there's roots there, isn't there? You know. But I guess that shows that, I guess, where English football is, isn't it? At the Premier League, most watched league in the world, we know that it's a massive attraction, isn't it? Particularly for young coaches, when you get the opportunity to work within it, it is difficult to say no, isn't it?
Exactly, and it's so difficult to make career plans in football. The only way I know is when you have 100% focus on the now. If you do everything you can day in and day out, then you will get opportunities, and then it's up to yourself if you want to take these opportunities. That's for sure, but it's difficult to plan. Okay, I want to be a head coach in Liverpool. I want to be a head coach in Lazio or wherever. That's impossible.
And I guess just finally, in terms of how much will you personally, but as an organisation, be watching Johannes and I guess probably cheering him on from afar, because he is a product of what you've done. I know you do it with players as well, don't you? You develop them and sell them for big fees. This is kind of part of your plan. So I guess from looking at it, even though, as you said, you're disappointed to lose Johannes, this is a success for you, isn't it? Him moving to Norwich.
Exactly. We will, of course, we will keep an eye. But not more. We have a lot of former employees out there, also coaches in working abroad. So we will, of course, keep an eye and then once in a while send a text message with good luck and hopefully a lot of congratulations.
Yeah, and hopefully, it's not phone calls about players. That's the aim as well. Brilliant stuff. Thank you.